Haley, do you want to open us up today?
Mm-hmm.
Open us.
Well, Father, we're so grateful to get another opportunity to be in communion with each other. Continue to teach us, Lord, how to fellowship with one another, how to support one another and build each other up and encourage one another. Lord, I pray that we would be ever listening to your still voice, whether we're talking or not. Lord, I pray that we would not be discouraged when you're showing us things that about ourselves that aren't showing us where we fall short, Lord, because that's a step of maturity that you're showing to us. I thank you that even the difficult things we can use for our good, and that you place in our lives as, Lord, vehicles for our closeness to you. I thank you, Lord, that we are meant for each other, that we are designed to need each other, to fill each other's holes. I pray that we would learn how to do that better, and instead of looking for each other's their lower selves and seeing who they are as, Lord, just people on this earth, that we would see them as sons in your house, and that we would honor and interact with the spirits inside of us and not just the personalities and differences that we have, although those are beautiful. I thank you that you give them to us, and I pray, Lord, that you would continue to show us how to think and how to move in the Spirit and how to live. Bless this time. Amen.
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 I feel like there's a lot we could cover in this letter.
Mm-hmm. This is a long one, yeah.
Yep.
I can read somebody's version.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you want to do actually that one. And then who wants to read the second one?
You can.
Okay.
Here we go. The discovery and death of self. Yes, I am happy to have you call me your father, because I certainly am, and always will be. You only need more assurance that I love you as a father, and this assurance will come when your heart is freed from the bondage of selfish love. We are in confining quarters, indeed, when we are enclosed in self. But when we emerge from that prison and enter into the immensity of God and the liberty of His children, we are truly free. Though it sounds strange to say it, I am rejoicing that God has reduced you to a state of weakness. Your ego can neither be convinced nor forced into submission by any other means. It is always finding secret lines of supply from your own courage. It is always discovering impenetrable retreats in your own cleverness. It was hidden from your eyes while it fed upon the subtle poison of an apparent generosity as you constantly sacrificed yourself for others. But now, God has forced it to cry aloud, to come forth into open day and display its excessive jealousy. Oh, how painful, but how beneficial, these times of weakness. As long as any self-love is remaining, we are always afraid it will be revealed. But God does not give up as long as the least symptom of it lurks in the innermost recesses of the heart. God pursues it, and by some infinitely merciful blow, forces it into the open. And the sight of the problem then becomes the cure. Self-love, forced into the light, sees itself as it really is, in all its deformity and despair and disgrace. And in a moment, the flattering illusions of your whole selfish life are dissipated. God sets before your eyes your idol, self. You look at the spectacle, and you cannot turn your eyes away, nor can you hide the sight from others. To expose self-love in this way, without its mask, is the most mortifying punishment that can ever be inflicted. We no longer see self as wise, prudent, polite, composed, and courageous in sacrificing itself for others. It is no longer the old self, whose diet consisted in the belief that it had been need of nothing and deserved everything. It weeps from the rage that it has wept. It cannot be stilled and refuses all comfort because its poisonous character has been detected. It sees itself foolish, rude, and impudent, and is foxed to look its own frightful countenance in the face. It says with Job, "For the thing I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. For it is that which it fears most that will be its destruction." We have no need that God should attack in us that which is lifeless and unresponsive. It is the living only that must die. Nothing else matters. So you see why I rejoice in your state of weakness. This is what you needed, to behold a self-love defeated, sensitive and pure, and exposed for what it really is. And now, all you have to do is to quietly look at it as it is. The moment you can do this, self will disappear. You asked for a remedy, that your problems might be cured. You do not need to be cured. You need to be slain. Quit looking for a remedy and let death come. This is the only way to deal with self. Be careful, however, of that bitter bravery that decides to accept no remedy, for this itself may become a remedy in disguise, giving a type of satisfaction and comfort to your ego. Do not seek any comfort from self-love, and do not conceal the disease. Uncover everything in simplicity and holiness, and then allow yourself to die. But understand that this is not done by any exertion of your own strength. When you finally see self for what it is, weakness has become your only possession. Strength is not even in the picture, and if you had any, it would only make the agony longer and more distressing. If you die from weakness and weariness, you will die more quickly and less violently. A dying life must of necessity be painful. Kindnesses are a cruelty to one who is being tortured to death. All he longs for is that one fatal blow. Not food, not sustenance. In fact, if it were possible to weaken him even further and hasten his death, we would be shortening his sufferings. But we can do nothing. Only the hand that tied him down to that place of torture can deliver that fatal blow that will set him free. So, do not ask for either remedies or sustenance. Do not even ask for death. To ask death is impatience, and to ask food or remedies is only to prolong the agony. What then shall we do? Do nothing. Seek to nothing. Hold to nothing. Simply confess everything, not as a means of getting relief, but because of humble desire to yield unto Jesus. Though I am your father in the Lord, do not look to me as a source of life. I would rather have you consider me as a means of death to your love of self. For just as surgical instruments would fail in fulfilling their purpose if they did not minister to life, so an instrument of death would be falsely named if, instead of slaying, it kept alive. For the time being, I would be that instrument of death. If I seem to be hard, unfeeling, indifferent, pitiless, weaned, annoyed, and contemptuous, God knows how far it is from the truth. But he permits me to seem this way, and I shall be much more serviceable to you in this false and imaginary character than were I to show my real feelings and very human desire to help. You see, the point is not how you are to be sustained and kept alive, but how you are to give up and die.
Is your version much different than that?
It's not too different.
Yeah, I was gonna say
There's
maybe
like
we
one
just.
little paragraph that like they left out in this. Like there's
Okay.
like a little part of like.
If it's not too much different, I don't feel like we.
You could read that little
Sorry, what?
paragraph.
Yeah, maybe just.
Yeah.
I mean, if y'all
I didn't
think
notice a paragraph that they missed.
I read it really slow because I wanted it.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too.
Not a very nice hearing message. Like
But
it just
did you
it doesn't
guys-
very like
Did you guys read the name of the letter after that?
what?
The
Oh,
name
this one?
of the next letter that we are going to read next week is called "The sight of our imperfections should not take away our peace," which I this letter I feel like it's timely in my own personal journey. Like right now, I was just sharing in the Bible study time with us younger people who are part of the Culture Center about like feeling self-centered, but wanting to know how that connects to self-reflection and selflessness and stuff like that. So I for a while now, it's maybe even a year, God has been revealing to me my own, like the grossness of my own self, like how self-absorbed and how much I worship myself. That's like the season I'm in right now, where he's like showing me where I'm really at, so that I'm not blind anymore. So that, and I highlighted this one line that was just like pretty much the most encouraging part of this whole letter. It says, "And now all you have to do is to be quietly willing to look at it as it is. The moment you can do this, it will have disappeared." Talking about the self. And that I actually was given a similar encouragement when I was sharing my feelings to somebody about feeling like I'm just so self-centered. They were saying that like the fact that I can see that I'm self-centered is like a way that makes it almost impossible for me to be truly self-centered. Like, because it's kind of like when you're truly prideful, you don't know that you're prideful. You think you're humble. It's kind of like when he was saying, that this subtle poison of an apparent generosity, by which you constantly sacrificed yourself for others. Like, it seems good, you don't realize that it's actually the self-love, because you think you're doing good things, you know? Which it's kind of hard for our mind to grasp, and that's one of the reasons why we shouldn't, like, focus on the doing of certain things. It's, yeah. These letters are really cool to me because throughout, and I've only noticed this when we started going over them with, like, us young ladies, that, like, all of it is getting around, like, it doesn't ever explicitly say that what you are to focus on is, maybe it does, is to relationship with God, but I feel like it like draws a
Kinda
circle
directs
around
that,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Because there was this one line where I was a little confused at first. It says, "Seek nothing, hold to nothing," and I think it's a kind of seeking. Because when I was thinking as a scripture, "Seek and you will find." So it's not the kind of seeking that's like pursuing. It's the kind of seeking that's desiring, and it also depends on what you're seeking. Because it can't be like. It was saying even to ask death isn't right, so that's why I was confused. Because he was just saying that you should die, but you shouldn't ask for it in the kind of way that, like, I don't know, I'm still working through it, but
Well, he says you shouldn't be impatient
mm-hmm.
to ask for death, so.
Well, he said
Yeah.
asking for death is impatience,
Right.
so, like, it's like trusting God's timing, I guess you could say,
Exactly.
because God, like it was saying, the sufferer at the wheel, it's at the fate of the one who tied him to it, like the one who will give the fatal blow.
Right.
So it's not like in our own strength that we die to self. It's God who brings it about us, which I definitely have asked for that before. So
Me
I
too.
guess it is the heart in which.
Yeah, that's an interesting mindset in
Mm-hmm.
that, like, we should be giving everything to the Lord, but not, like you're saying, in our own way, in our own strength.
Yeah.
It's like, even when we think, oh, I need to die to myself, like, again, letting the Lord bring those things in his way, in his timing, because he knows us more than we know ourselves, and he knows how to and when to bring those, those times of struggle, you could say, or discipline. So that is an interesting thought in everything in life. I agree with this being very timely because I feel like the Lord has been doing very similar things in my mind and heart about just the life of self and dying to that. And very similarly, I've been seeing it, like seeing, oh, this is a place I should be dying to myself. And maybe I'm still struggling with that, but the fact that I'm beginning to, like, realize it and see it, right, is a place to start to do better and actually live a selfless life, because you're like, oh, that would be self, right? And so you're beginning to identify something, and I think that's pretty exciting, because then you're like getting the idea of how to, like Emma said, move forward. And so I'm glad to hear that, like, and I bet you a lot of us are all going through that. Like, I feel like it is a daily thing to die to self. Like, every day there is an opportunity to die to yourself. And are we seeing that? Like, is that something that we're growing in? Because I think sometimes we can just go in our day and just think selfishly and kind of have a self-centered mindset. But how are we daily taking the cross? How are we daily dying to ourselves? Because it is a daily thing. And I feel like when we realize that and have, like, this mindset of, like, this is a way of growth, and becoming a son is dying to this fleshly way and truly giving our lives to the Lord, we will have such a different perspective of life.
And it won't discourage us to see our own selfishness when we understand that it's going to be a gradual thing that we learn. You can't, like, again, he was saying, like, pain is necessary to death. So, like, you're not going to die immediately. First, there's going to be suffering, which might even be in this context. Seeing that you are selfish, but not fully being, like, getting to turn from that yet, because it's a gradual process.
Right.
So, like, when I was saying it's, like, been a year now where God's showing me my selfishness, I'm still selfish every day. So, but I think
there's timing and there's a process and different things. Like, maybe it'll be one thing this season and the next,
Yeah.
It depends on, like, the seasons that the Lord brings, that growth. And so that's what's truly beautiful about giving your life to the Lord and dying daily, because if we allow that, then he will work in that, in our hearts, if we're giving that to him.
Yeah.
That's part of our laying down our willingness, is the willingness to be made perfect and to be disciplined. And that again, comes from that willingness to see that struggle and to die to yourself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
it's not, and that's what I was saying when I first, it's not a pretty thing. It's not very exciting, obviously, to the flesh, but, like, I really like how it said, like, the exposure of it, like,
It's also
the
something
exposure of self is
I've
just so,
witnessed where like, cause it was saying like it doesn't hide anymore and it doesn't seem all good as it used to be, and
Right.
I've been going through that too.
Mm.
Isabella probably has noticed, cause like I seem to be getting worse, but it's just because myself is being exposed. Like I'm realizing what it is,
Mm.
so it's like naturally lashing out, you know, cause it doesn't want to die.
yep, and that's difficult,
Mm-hmm.
but you just gotta push through. It's, the flesh and the soul can definitely appear as very beastly, but
Mm-hmm.
what was I just reading? Something about there being peace with the spirit or something?
Yeah,
I don't know.
You said that to
Like,
me or something.
rests on the soul. Anyways. Yeah.
I really struggle with that, and I
Mm.
really need to work on. Yeah,
We all
That-
do.
yeah.
We're all not
That's
dirty.
one thing that I struggle with a lot.
Well, that's the one thing that every single person on the earth struggles with a lot. It's like fallen nature of man, so don't be discouraged.
A little encouragement. I was going through that not too long ago, and I still am, but like, for some reason I've like almost forgotten about it, and I definitely do want to notice those things more and not just set those aside anymore. And what I was just writing is something that kind of it was talking about in the book. I was just thinking that you have to, well, you don't have, you get what I mean, like, rejoice in suffering, because it's a step of noticing and a step of,
It's an opportunity for growth, right?
yeah. Mhm. And I just think it's so cool, that type of thing, because like it's so amazing to like see that there's so much good in everything. You just gotta look for that instead of looking for the bad and everything.
Yeah, perspectives are very important when it comes to certain things like that. But
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful point in knowing. It doesn't seem to me like a very good place to be when you like you're unaware of your self-centered life, you know.
Exactly,
And that's
yeah.
what I think you're trying to say is like you want to be more aware of that and die to yourself, right? And
You
so
know, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I hope that I can be more aware of that too, because in that way I struggle with black and white, thinking that something is right or something is wrong, and I don't focus on what it's producing in the moment, and I just like focus on, oh, if I do this then I am completely wrong, or if I do this then I'm right. But it's not about the doing, it's about the heart.
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
And you don't want to have sin consciousness
Yep.
too. You don't want to be like, oh, what am I doing bad?
Exactly,
Like
that's
it's
what I
more
am,
about
yeah.
like searching and looking for the light. It's not like looking for what I'm doing wrong,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
And
Like
think
that
about
black
the
and white.
opposite of sin consciousness is sun consciousness. In that there's peace because you're just like with the Father,
Mm.
and so you don't need to hold to anything.
Right.
You can confess everything and be ugly because you are. Like I know that sounds weird, but like because self love is just like it's not appealing. When I just had a connecting dot. When you become closer with the Father and you get to know His nature and you become more like Him, then this process happens where the
Right.
self becomes exposed. And you see how gross it is, how much you dislike it, you hate it, because it's not God's nature.
Right.
And it's so simple. Like, you just wrote a poem on it, and that's why it was so beautiful, Elisa. It's because it's literally as simple as stepping into the light, and you will see the things. It will be exposed. Sorry, Emma, I didn't mean
No,
to interrupt,
I
but it's just
forgot.
like, it's when you decide to live in that, how'd you say it, sun consciousness?
Yeah.
Things will get exposed, and it's not
Without
about,
you
again,
trying,
right,
yeah.
without you trying to search for the bad things. It's living in a way that will quite literally change the way you live, and that part of that is dying to self. Things will disappear as you and get exposed as you live in a certain way, a new way.
Yeah,
that's
I
what-
was-
Here, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lynn. Please.
I was just gonna say, like, there's a balance in, like, this is like what Haley was saying. There's a balance in, like, being too focused on not being selfish, because that's what I've struggled with. Is like, I will focus so much on not being selfish that I'm actually focusing on myself, and in turn, it's just like the same thing. So yeah, I think like God will bring it to you, and you have to just like not resist it when it comes. Like, you can't force it, but you also
Don't want to
Have-
resist it.
you don't resist it, but yeah.
I don't remember.
Or
It's okay.
Elisa, when you're saying you kind of forgot about it, it reminded me of how death to self is something that can't be directly pursued. It's kind of like what he's saying about don't ask for death, because like then you might try to get it in your own strength, which is impossible. So like also like Hattie was saying, like God will bring it to you. So I'm kind of repeating what we were saying, but like how it's okay to quote unquote forget about things that God is teaching you, because you're not like discarding them. They're just like taking a back seat as you live life. But I feel like when we have the right heart posture, they're kind of like being processed subconsciously, even when we're not directly thinking about them. I think that's something that comes like when we practice meditation and stuff like that, when we're actively thinking about things more often. Even when we're not, we're like coming to a better spiritual understanding of them, even if we couldn't like tell you intellectually more about them. Like, we come to see how they work better, you know, in life and stuff.
I think a good example of when we're talking about like kind of what you mentioned, Haley, how once you have like more of a relationship with God, how you kind of see yourself more. I think of it as like when you're little and you fixate on like a certain food that you love it so much and it's like your favorite thing, it's the best you've ever tasted in the world. And then you're like an adult or like grown up and you have it again and you're like, wow, this actually is not good at all. It's kind of like as, you know, your taste buds have matured and you've grown up and you've tried other things
Or it can be the
and stuff.
opposite.
Yeah.
Of, like when you're younger,
Mm,
you
true.
don't like something, and then
Your
when you're
appetites
older,
change.
True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's kind of a good example as like to seeing things differently and like I guess in a different way, like living in a different way. Sorry, I was losing my words, but
Yeah, that's another example of how this process is gradual. It doesn't come all at once, because like with your example, Kayla, it's when you grow up, time happens. Obviously, like God is outside of time, so he can work in any kind of way he wants, but like I'm just trying to get to say that this is a process. I
Yeah.
so often forget that it's a process, and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna like die to self. I'm gonna be selfless, even though I was selfish before. It's gradual, so like, and because I was focusing on it like that, that's not gonna work. But yeah, I think it's really about not overthinking and just remembering our priorities, which is relationship with God and relationship with others.
That's an interesting way to think about learning a truth too, Haley. Like you're saying, like sometimes we think it's gonna be automatic because we know it all of a sudden.
Oh yeah.
But like, I don't feel like you truly know something until it's like a practice in your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
And so that is a process.
That's
Practice
kinda like-
is.
Was there an intellect that talked about?
I was about to bring up, it's like
Yeah.
something like trustworthiness, where like your actions align with your words is what I was thinking about. You might be thinking of something
No, I
different.
think that was.
But like it's like how like whatever you say has to actually be lived out.
Yep, that's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I talked a little bit about that in like not too long ago in one of the Seven Spirits meeting. Kind of like about like oh no, I'm forgetting. Wait,
It's okay.
what were you saying?
I was
Just
talking
like
about
putting into
how-
practice.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
living out what you talked
What
about.
you like, what you learn, you live
Mm-hmm.
out. And I was
Yeah.
just thinking about that and how like how can I practice that and like be almost like a part of that. Like it's
That's being a
part of
student of
my-
life. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
like a
just
part of my
imagine
everyday.
if you're giving somebody advice about something that you haven't gone through or you don't understand, do you think that that's going to be a value to them? It's not, because you haven't actually practiced that, right? So, yeah.
Not only is it not a testimony, but it, like what you're saying doesn't have the same kind of life in it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's very encouraging because, you know, since you guys go to the Culture Center on Tuesday mornings, most of the time I go to the Lowe's, and every time I remember just always being encouraged by Isabella because she's always saying, like, I don't want to speak for you, but, like, I don't want to say something that I haven't gone through or don't know, like, really, like, if that will, it's hard to explain, like,
I know what you're saying.
yeah.
I wrote a poem about you, Isabella. Well, it's for class.
Oh yeah, are we not allowed to share this?
Not
Yeah?
yet. I don't
Okay.
think.
Wait, what
I
ones?
was gonna say read it, but
Wait, what?
the ones that we're
Oh,
working
you
on this week.
spoiled
I
it.
read it.
I
I
did
read
you
that
like it?
poem.
Did I add it
I
to my
think.
doc?
Oh no, I must be thinking of a different one.
Forgot.
That's kind of cool. Actually, I didn't even think about the timeliness of that. Just kind of like
Yeah, we'll read it.
that experience that you're getting to write and like kind of share to people an experience you had, a wisdom you learned from something.
Right.
You know what's really funny, Emma?
What?
You know what was like the first thing I thought of when you shared your poem? I thought of as like how you would explain it is like a
Don't spoil it.
but like it's talking kind of about this. It's like something coming into new light and you know being revealed, I guess. I didn't spoil anything.
I've had a couple.
Sorry, I
experiences
shouldn't
like
have
that,
said
but
anything.
It's okay. It'll make Isabel excited.
I'll make sure to share it with you.
But it is exciting when when you feel like you've heard something so many times and then it's like, oh, I understand that now.
That's how
And
weird
it's
it
kind of cool because when you can go through something like that with somebody else, it really means something more, right?
I had just, and this is gonna sound goofy,
Mm.
but like I had just had that experience with like our people,
Mm.
and it was one of our Confucius times in the morning, so like two big groups, and my dad was just sharing. I don't remember what intellect it was, but he was sharing who we are and who we are to each other,
Mm.
and I feel like that's shared a lot. But like he had just said like. I just thought about it. I kind of thought about all my experiences that I have with each one of you guys, and I'm like, first of all, that is not for my life. We're all put in our lives for a reason. Each person in this community, really everybody in our life, but specifically these people in our community, and each experience that we have with them is like, it's like a training. Like, it's like this,
And I think it's so cool that we can learn.
we're
something
learning
different
away.
from everyone.
And the Lord is
Yeah.
giving those opportunities from each person.
Mm-hmm.
And it might not be what we think.
But it's
We can
bringing
think
us
of that.
together.
Yeah, we can think of it as kind of a selfish thing, but it's not.
Mm-mm.
Like, it should be taking us out of ourselves. And I don't know, it just really opened my eyes. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm still working on that because I feel like that's a lot of what we're working on now is seeing each other in the right way and as sons. But it just kind of like changed my perspective a little bit on what he is doing. And it's exciting because it kind of
Very
it
much.
obviously gives more purpose to certain things that might have been like kind of unknown before, you know. And so, I don't know. I encourage you guys to just continue to seek each other in such a way that is seeing each other as a son and not who we think we are. We're more than friends, siblings, and earthly family. We are God's family. We are all sons.
That's kind of what I was thinking about when I was praying.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, another interesting thing along the lines of what you were saying is that sometimes I'll have that kind of revelation thing when I'm in conversation with someone else who has who's also thinking about those same things. But like I call it like connecting the dots. Miss Kim calls it like adding another puzzle piece or something like that. Where like I'll know all these things, but the person I'm talking to will help me to like bring it all together. So then I have a better understanding of the whole subject.
Yep.
So I'm
That's
like,
always
wait a minute.
exciting.
Yeah.
That's like almost exactly what you said when you said we are the pieces for each other.
Yep.
Cool.
It's a perfect
That's
example.
really cool.
Something you said earlier reminded me when you were saying like when your actions don't match up with your words. I actually was gonna bring that up. I've been like almost intentionally refraining from speaking a lot in like class and stuff like that simply because of I'm not living and this is just me being honest, like this isn't things that I'm not proud of, but I'm not living in a way that is lining up with what I used to just say. And so I don't have an end dot there really, but
But it's encouraging that you're realizing that.
Yeah.
Honey.
Yeah.
And I believe we all struggle with that in a way. And yeah, it is a struggle, but it's good to be aware of and really want to change in that. But don't be ashamed of that. Just be happy that the Lord's revealing that to you, for sure.
That's really good, actually.
There will be change if you want there to be, and if you live in that, you know. Yeah, I think that part of that, Hattie, is actually too desiring to see each other differently, because I think, well, I know that I, at least, can get kind of mixed up or blinded by my view or of kind of an earthly view of others, but if we choose to continually see each other for who we are, and I'm still learning that, like, you know, that's a process for me, because sometimes it can be hard to see others outside of our kind of our fleshly eyes, but it's a process.
But that's good, like Kayla said.
I don't really know if this involves much with what we're talking about, but I was just thinking about like living in truth and like seeing that truth and being a part of it. Bless you, and showing it in your everyday life. And I was just thinking like when you're living out what you say, like, are you living in truth, or are you living in as a life, like, of a student in the Lord's house?
You know, somebody said something close to that yesterday, I think, about like how, or maybe it was not yesterday, because I feel like it was Tim who said it, but maybe it wasn't. But somebody sometimes said something like that what you believe is shown by the way that you live. It's not shown by what you say. That might have been Justin, actually. But that just hit me when he said that. even though I think it's one of those, like, a mini kind of revelation moment, because it's something that I hear a lot is, like, what you do matters more than what you say. But, like, it's evidence of what you actually believe. And that's why we discover that self is our idol, because we're living to please ourselves. That's showing what's most important to us. That's why we're worshiping self, because worshiping is serve the purpose of. So whoever we're serving the purposes of, we're worshiping. So I worship myself. I worship others. That's because, like, I'm a people pleaser is what people call it. I worry too much about what other people want. But God is the one who I should serve the purposes of.
Me and Kim were just talking about a similar subject in our belief system, like in what we believe, our mindsets, how strong those are, and like the importance of living as one is not bringing your own kind of mindsets and things, but like truly wanting to. It's kind of hard to explain, but like it is just crazy to me how strong our beliefs can be and how it really does change our reality and like the way that things appear in life and the way that life goes.
I mean,
like,
even Hannah talked about that
Yeah.
in class.
But yeah, just really wanting to get my mindsets right in how I see my own life and my life as a son. Like the thought of being one and like all together being one and like thinking alike is crazy to me. Like how, as we learn to do that together, how that's gonna like make things operate. I'm kind of a hard time with words because I don't obviously fully understand it, but it's just
It's like when we
an interesting thought.
become to have the mind of Christ, you
Right.
know? Like, so then we all
Our
think
one.
like Christ.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's kind of a crazy thought.
Yeah.
When we're not all
Because we're
'Cause-
all still going to be unique, but
right,
yeah.
but it's coming out of that like self-centered mindset and way of life and living as one.
I was just talking to Tim and Kim about
Really?
that. Having the mind of Christ.
You know what I was thinking about that's like a little scary, like it reminded me when you were talking about like idolizing, is like, it might sound like harsh to say, but like you almost can create these gods, like that sounds kind of harsh to say in your mind, like, and what I've noticed with myself is there will be things or people that you literally idolize and you don't even realize it, and then you look back and you're like, whoa, I'm thinking about this more than I'm thinking about like God. And it's
Me too.
Prioritizing.
yeah,
the
and it
wrong
gets to a
things.
point where you're like, I don't even want this anymore. But Tim was saying you become like a slave to your desires. It's true. You're kind of stuck with this thing that you don't even want, and you
That's
Just
exactly
have
what I
it.
was saying. Similar, like this our own reality of something that we think, almost that we think we want, you know?
Just because it's been so long, we're in
Right.
the same
And we just
thing.
circle around
Yeah.
what we think. But like breaking that cycle is what I want in areas, you know? Just like
You think of
It's
it as
hard.
like, sorry, I think this has been brought up in class, maybe by my dad, or I know I've heard it somewhere, but like you're always a slave to something, whether that's your own desires or something of not as much significance, or you're a slave to the Lord. Something I was thinking about somewhat recently, because it was, I think, relevant to something Tim was sharing, but it is interesting to think that we are always a slave to something. You just have to choose what you're choosing to be a slave to. Yeah, kind of is like what we're reading in Ben-Hur as well.
That's why being a slave to God is so much more fulfilling than all these other things. Even though we try to fill it with all these other things because we don't know God yet. But once we know God, it's so much more fulfilling because an object or even a person that we're idolizing we're not going to get the same kind of relationship that we will with God.
You know, I think of it as a bond servant
Yeah,
because
that's
it's like your greatest
exactly
desire
right.
to
Yeah,
stay
that's-
with them and near them.
That's one of my book ideas.
Of course,
Yeah, I think most people like you think of it at first as a slave, and then you become the bond
Yep.
servant almost.
Yeah. When you grow to love your master, ideally.
And I feel like that's really similar. That's why, that's kind of how God made it purposefully. Like,
Yeah.
your parents are like an example.
Yep.
Set an example for, you know,
Authority.
authority, and you're almost like, you know, like a bond, what do you say?
Bond servant.
Bond servant to them, because, you know, you respect them and you know what they want for you, and, you know, in life, I guess.
I feel like it almost goes the other way around because having a mother and father, there is a part of it that's like a bondservant. So that's why I think a bondservant is like part of being a son, because being a child, there's more than just serving your parents. It is very much that, but it's also being their heir, getting like almost being a part of them. That's like, and you can only go so far to say that really truly when it's our Father in heaven, because we are to be his son. Like, I was thinking about the difference between, because people call themselves like a bondservant of Christ, and they also call themselves a son of God, and I was thinking about the difference between those two and how those relate, because I feel like they're both fitting titles, and I've used and regarded myself with both, and I don't know, I'm working through that, but I think a bondservant is similar to a son because they have chosen to follow after their master. But being a son also means you carry the responsibility. When you mature, you carry the responsibility that your parents have. They give it to you. They give you what they own.
Yeah, I feel like almost a bondservant is like a place of maturity where you grow almost to, like, not just be born into that, but live that.
Yeah, you choose it, yeah. That's why God doesn't force anyone, because it wouldn't be true love if he forced us into it. I also feel like oftentimes in history and stuff, people won't love their slaves or their servants. But that's why I had that book idea, is because the master would represent God, and the servant, who at first doesn't want to be a servant, realizes that the master loves him. He doesn't just tell him to serve him, but he cares for him. So then the servant is like, I want to serve this person because I care, I love them. I think they deserve me to serve them. And I want to serve them for the rest of my life, because they don't just think of me as an instrument. They think of me as a person. Because God first loved us. But I not only love him because he loved me, but because, I mean, there's so much more to that. But
Yeah, a lot of that has to do with our perspective too on that relationship.
I like in the letter how he says, self-love is like the selfishness of a silly child screaming at the loss of an apple.
yeah.
Hey, where does it say
I
that?
I think it's in that version.
Oh, really?
But I have a video of me screaming about an apple
No way.
when I was little.
And then
That is
it was saying the only that was really clarifying to me too, because like it said that, and then it said the only thing that's different about that example is that it's also crying because it's crying. It doesn't it's because it sees its own selfishness. It's like disgusted with itself. And again, it's relatable. I felt that before.
Yeah, we didn't
Me
even
too.
notice that
I
we
was
worry
crying about that a
such
few days
things.
ago. Literally crying
It's
about
so
it.
weird. That's so funny how you say that. Like, I just feel like I've experienced that a lot. Where I
Yeah,
just
me
like,
too.
I'm like, ugh. Myself is just
Right.
disgusting.
Why are we
Yeah.
worrying about such things that are nothing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the exposure of things, though.
Yeah.
Getting exposed, and you can see it.
I want an apple. I think it's also interesting when he says, "Therefore ask for neither remedies, substance, nor death." It's like not even asking for remedies. It's I just like I never thought about that. I thought asking for help or healing was a good thing, but
It is
it's
tough.
about the heart, right?
Yeah, that I think in that context, it's talking about this. After it goes to describe the self disgusted with the self, don't look for remedies for that, for
Right.
that pain that you're feeling because you see how self-centered you are, or even death to that pain that you're feeling because you see, which is crazy because you want it to go away.
It says here, yeah, to ask death is impatience, so that's
Mhm.
part of something you're needing to slow down on. So,
Yeah.
again, letting the Lord
Yep.
process that out
Beautiful.
and not being impatient about the
It's
process of it.
Like, it hurts, but God, I know that this is a step that I need to take, that you're putting me through. So.
I've actually kind of been through a thought process recently about like certain struggles where you're like, when is this gonna end? Kind of
Yeah.
thing. When am I gonna get out of this? But
Mhm.
why is it still there? What is God still trying to teach you? You know? And
I feel
And why
like
are we worrying about when it's gonna end?
right. And
yeah, in the moment we're always like, when is this gonna end? And never realizing that it's for a purpose. Like you said, there's something that He's doing through it.
Yeah, that reminds me of, it's kind of silly, but like playing violin. When you play violin, like, well, mostly me. Whenever I play violin, I'm like, I just want to learn this and get it over with. But part of the process of learning is going through it and, you know, going through the hard stuff and easy stuff, all of
Messing
that.
Yeah, it involves messing up, right?
Yeah.
This is like a silly example, but like it reminded me. I was like telling Jaden on how I was just trying to like finish these books and that I just wanted to finish them. And he's like, "Are you reading the book to finish it, or are you reading the book to like read?" And I was like, "Oh, like I was just reading the books to finish it and say I read a book, and I wasn't actually like
processing it.
yeah or experiencing or enjoying it."
That's a really good point.
Yeah, I feel like there's just so many things in life, especially in this day and time, where we just have to kind of skip by it and get to the point. Like, so much of things is the process of it and the time, I guess, what it takes to get somewhere. You know, it's not just like fast satisfaction. It's like what you can learn through being patient and obedient. And I need to learn that. I
Everything
am
is
so
just-
impatient. I feel like
everything
it's
is just in the palm of our hands, so we expect everything to be that way.
learn to slow down a bit.
Yep. The book reading analogy is so valuable for like taking it to what it means as like the destination is the journey type thing that Justin used to say all the time. It's like the whole point of reading a book is to read the book. It's not to finish it. But like I think that's a common thing that people read books to finish them. But like
so that you can say, oh,
Yeah.
I've read this book.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but like as a son, the maturing process, it doesn't have like it has a set destination, but like your whole life you're always going to be going towards that. Like in a way there's a destination, in a way there's not. It's like the destination is the journey. The point is the learning. So even though there is a goal of being completely mature, that's not like what you're thinking about. I don't know how to put it into words. It's I guess I'm still learning how to comprehend it then, cuz like it's Do you guys get what I'm saying? Cuz
I think so.
it's like how the learning is what God wants you to do right now. So we're supposed to be focusing on the present.
Mhm.
And even though the goal is for us to be fully mature, I guess it all boils down to us not worrying about the future or the past, is to be present where God wants us to be, because like God is outside of time, so I guess that's part of why the destination is the journey. The process is the whole point of the process, is because it's relationship with God. There we go, that's my end point. It's because you're walking through it with the Lord. So yeah, sorry, I just
It reminds me of something from one of the Seven Spirits meetings. I don't know if you guys remember, but my dad was talking about the depths of God and not fully understanding that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I don't remember exactly what
trying
that
to
was.
understand
That was
that
like
being a false knowledge, that kind of thing.
And not needing to understand it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was just smiling a little bit ago. I just remembered one of my first, I think it was my very first poem that I wrote. It was about the present. And it was like saying how the present, you know, it's called the present probably, I say probably, it's probably because, like, it's,
A gift.
yeah, it's a gift.
That's a cute little Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, I was
yes.
gonna say. I was gonna
A
say.
great quote.
Actually,
What
It's
did
called
she
the
say?
present.
she doesn't
He said
actually.
I don't know.
It said
She does actually.
the past is a
It says
mystery.
actually.
Wait, no, the past
Actually.
is history and the future is a mystery.
Yeah.
But the present is but right now is a gift. That's why it's called the present.
Present.
Or something like that.
It's funny.
Yeah. Anyway, what were you saying?
I was just, that was all I was going to say. I was just saying, like, it's not that coincidental that it's, I said that so wrong.
Coincidental.
Coincidental. That is called that for a reason, because, you know, you're supposed to take that gift wisely and use it for the timing that you have.
Because I mean, if you think about it, if you're always thinking about the future or the past, you're completely missing what you're supposed to be
Because you're not
doing
you're not there
in
yet.
the present. Because you're not focusing on the present. Yeah, I mean that's obvious, but I think it's beautiful that we can come to these times and bring so much value into it and out of it. And it doesn't have to be because of anything of ourselves. Like the whole time I'm just like fumbling along. It's still so, like, we're all blessed by it because we're all
We're going through it
participating in-
together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's fellowship. It's
Yep.
relationship.
Yeah, I used to struggle a lot with being worried that people would, like, call out whenever I messed up or make fun of me or something. And I remember I used to be, like, super duper quiet, and I would not say a singular thing. I'd just be, like, staring at everybody, wondering what to say, and if I messed it up, then it'd be this whole problem. And now I just, like, I'm just thinking, why was I thinking about what I was messing up? Again, going back to that, like, why are you thinking about the bad instead of what you can see in the good
Mm-hmm.
and what that brings out in you.
That's also a step of maturity because I also struggle with this is like self-consciousness of like not wanting to embarrass yourself or things like that. But I like a few months ago I was thinking about how beautiful it is to embrace the humiliation of embarrassing yourself because like that's an opportunity to be humbled to like yeah.
Another year's gone by, you guys. It's kind of crazy.
Sorry.
I was just thinking about last night I was thinking about how crazy it is that it's the new year already. Like, it went by so fast that I didn't even think about the new year until today or yesterday.
Yeah, I'm excited just, what the Lord's opened up for even a time like this and certain opportunities to see each other differently and the meeting times that we have, but really in life in general. I'm just excited to see the change that's going to happen if we choose to live differently and see each other differently. That's one thing
Yeah, I
I'm really
think
excited about.
Everyone should be encouraged
Yeah.
and excited.
Mm-hmm.
New year,
Yeah,
new
to-
beginnings.
Yeah, to be honest, in my mind, I've been thinking really seriously about the new year. It feels like a big deal to me for some reason, bigger than in the past. And I'm like, why is that so? Because time isn't even real. We're just confined to time, but
Yeah.
God's beyond it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's because it's a symbol of things. I want to I'm kind of wanting to use that as an excuse to really pay attention to what's important to me. Make what's important to me actually important to me. Because the ways that we spend our time and choose to think about and things like that. Obviously, we were talking about that's a process, but there'll be conscious moments where I'll be maybe I shouldn't be spending my time on my phone because I could. I don't know, but
That's funny.
we've talked about this before, but yeah, what were you saying?
I was just gonna say that me and Kim were talking about making healthy habits.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of healthy habits, I really want to start every night. I think Noah said he used to do this. I don't remember how, but every night kind of so we're not analyzing, I guess. Reflecting, yeah. Reflecting on your day and kind of your process of the day and I think that'd be really helpful. What are you smiling at?
Yeah, I made a face at her. It was my
Oh,
bad.
but I don't know. That's one thing I want to start doing to kind of add on to I want to write more too. But just kind of reflecting on your thought processes and kind of knowing yourself
Yes.
in a way.
Exactly. That's the
And-
whole purpose of why I journal every night.
Really, that's cool.
Yeah.
I want to start journaling more, but
It's really really valuable. It's the whole reason I'm even able to share because before I didn't know how to have thoughts about things, how to see myself or anything until I started journaling. I started journaling I don't know, 2 years ago. But now I'm able to do it almost pretty much every night. I used to do it I'd go through spurts of every night and then I'd skip a few days and then come back to it. But it was just really this. And this it's personal for me, so it might not hit other people in the same way, but it was a huge turning point in my maturity of being able to see myself and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's a really huge thing to me.
yeah, one thing me and Kim were talking about is kind of catching yourself and how you think. I think it's important to know that and kind of the process as you go through, and I think writing that out,
Yeah.
like you're saying, would be really helpful because I think we get so caught up in certain ways of thinking that we don't realize that cycle, I guess, of thinking, and kind of again getting to know yourself and how you do that is a place for change. You can kind of change the way that you think. Anyways,
Yeah, I
just
think-
remind me of the conversation. Good.
Yeah, I've actually been. It's similar to journaling. I've been writing a memory each day in a book that I thought about that day, and
That's
It was
kind of cool.
just-
I
that
like
is
that
cool.
actually.
it was a little bit random when I thought of it, but then I started to think about like how I thought of that, and I'm like, oh, I guess I've been thinking about wanting to see and look back on what I'm thinking about.
I like that
I
idea a
guess.
lot.
Yeah, I've filled a couple notebooks already in this past year when I started journaling, and I've even looked back on them and been like, wow, I've changed so much
Me
already.
too. Yes.
That's crazy.
And I will still see like common themes of whatever I like. There'll be certain things that I'll always come back to as like my my conclusion to things.
Mm-hmm.
And as you guys probably can tell, it's relationship with God. Like that's the number one priority that should be for my life and the way I live. And that's obviously more than just personally me, but
Pretty cool.
I definitely do see that in your life, though. You are definitely not afraid to express that you really do have so much love for the Lord and what He's doing in everyone's lives around you and your life too.
Thank you. I feel like I'm only at the tip of the iceberg of like truly knowing Him, and like just like this week I've been asking Him what it even means to grow in my relationship with Him. And I think that I was just overthinking it, but like it's not something to be overthought. It's just the heart posture.
It's funny that you said tip of the iceberg. That's something Kim has said to me before
Mm-hmm.
about kind of a sight of something.
Yeah.
The fact that there's just so much more to that is just crazy to me, because like it feels like a lot already.
And that reminds me of the spirit of knowledge that Tim was talking about, like comprehending it in a way that's not like completely intellectual.
Right.
It's like, yeah.
Well, I always enjoy my time with you guys.
Yeah, me too.
I know. I was just thinking about how much like this just like actually like brightens my day. Like I can see so many different things in different things after these times. It's just like so opening.
It's encouraging. Would you like to pray for us, send us off?
Lord, we thank you and we praise you for this timing and the connections that you make in our life, Lord, that we can fill in with each other. Thank you that you're doing so much in us. Pray that we would be encouraged and brightened by your ways, Lord, and see that there's so much joy in everything you do in us. I pray that we would even see joy in times of sorrow and and suffering, because those bring out the best in us, Lord. And I thank you that you are putting us through things that you know will shape us and mold us, to refine us, to be more like you, Lord. Pray that we would have clear thoughts and be at peace with everything. In your name we pray. Amen.